The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
Welcome to the System is Down.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday. What is up, Downers? Welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web. This is, of course, The System is Down, the place where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics, things like conspiracies, politics, religion, culture, so on and so forth. The things that trigger you, the things that ruffle your feathers and wad your panties. We talk about those and do so in a civil manner because the art of conversation, the art of civil conversation, is completely dead. So, if you're new here, welcome to the show. Go find the person who invited you. Give him a big #MeToo coronavirus kiss on the mouth and slap on the rear from you and me because I appreciate you being here and because you're going to enjoy it. And I know you're going to enjoy it because today I finally got on a guest that I've been trying to get on for a good long time. And I won't dwell too much on it here in the intro because we do talk about it in the conversation. But I hit up this guy, Andy Signore, from formerly Screen Junkies and Honest Movie Trailers and the like, and now from Popcorned Planet and Hugging the Cactus. Hit him up a long time ago because I finally heard his story on his #MeToo case. He was called out really early, and he has gone through the ringer and has been put on the same platform as Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey and whatnot for something that was completely fabricated. He did some things wrong. He did not do what she said, and he has the evidence to prove it. I will post a link to the initial video where he presents all this evidence in the show description, so you can check out the entire story there. We don't cover the entire story because it's already been out there, but we do touch on a lot of the most important things, and we're going to get into that here in just a moment. But before we do, I got to remind you guys about our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Brave Botanicals. Brave Botanicals is your place for all the best natural products, the things that the government doesn't like, the things that they like to either put their patents on or make illegal, things like kratom, CBD, colloidal silver, natural hand sanitizers, herbs, minerals, all the good, fun things that the government likes to... They don't like them because it's really hard to put a patent on a plant. All natural things. Check out mybravebotanicals.com or freeounceofkratom.com, and you can try kratom for the first time because I know it's not that popular. It's not that well known because we're not supposed to talk about it. But I use it on a regular basis. I find it fantastic. It has nothing to do with weed, has nothing to do with marijuana. It has no psychoactive effects. We've talked about it. I had the owner, John Bush, on the show in the past. You can check out that for all the in-depth stuff. But just know that I use it regularly. It gives me a nice glow through the day and helps me get energy and focus in a clean and natural way. I use their White Lightning primarily. I'm about to try out their new one. It's another white strain. I don't remember what it is offhand, but... That's on the way to me right now, and I'll let you know once I try it out. But all that to say... Check them out. Try Kratom. You can try it for free. You just pay shipping cost, which is next to nothing. You can try a free ounce of Kratom by going to freeounceofkratom.com. Enter the promo code TSID. You can also enter that promo code TSID on any selection that you want, and listeners to the show get 5% off at freeounceofkratom.com. Promo code TSID. All right, that's that. Also, go join the Downers Club if you like this show. You want to hear more, you can get bonus episodes of the show every single week, extended conversations, and the like. We've done a butt ton over the last couple weeks, putting out tons and tons of content for you guys. So if you want more of this show and if you want to support this show, the only way you can do so is by going to patreon.com/The System is Down and signing up for the Downers Club. That's patreon.com/The System is Down. All right, let's get into what you are here for. Let's get into what you're here for. It is my conversation with the one and only Andy Signore of Screen Junkies, Honest Trailers, Hugging the Cactus, and Popcorned Planet about his #MeToo debacle. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get weird. My guest today is Emmy Award nominee creator of Screen Junkies, Honest Trailers, and much more. Now the creator and host of his new channels, Popcorn Planet and Hugging the Cactus. Very, very busy guy who's almost impossible to pin down for an interview, Mr. Andy Signore. Andy.
Hey, see you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. How you doing, man?
Good. It's weird because everyone's on lockdown and a lot of people aren't busy, but my life hasn't changed. I've only gotten busier because now the kids are home. You got to homeschool. I'm juggling a million things that it actually has made my life more stressful. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing the best I can, but I know everybody else, there's a lot of other people worse situations. So trying my best to entertain on the channels, deliver what I can, and stay positive.
For sure. Yeah. My life has pretty much stayed the same, except for the kids are home and not in school now. So work from home mostly. I don't go out much, so it's all good here. But you know.
But you miss. I realize. No, going out is good for us. We got to.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not good to be in all day. I'm like, I got to get out more when this is all done.
Right. Absolutely. Now, Andy, I've been trying to pin you down for. I checked a little bit ago. It's been 8 months now.
8 months. That's how in demand I'm such a douchebag. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. But I Daniel kept on it for that long, and then there would just be pockets where I just forgot, and then you'd check in and be like, yeah, and then every time you check in it would be a bad time. Right on. Like, I don't know how to get, because I wanted to give you an hour and talk and make sure I gave you the time. I didn't want to just pop in for 10 minutes and bail. So I'm always like, when am I gonna get a whole hour? And it just. Anyway, we made it. We're here. Let's do it.
We did it. Here we are. Now, Andy, I was familiar with a lot of your companies and your work and everything, but I didn't know you as a person. I didn't know you by name at all until your #MeTooMisfire video came out, and then I realized who you were and all the content that I've been enjoying of yours for years. So I imagine there are probably a lot of people in a similar boat where they don't know the man behind some of this stuff. You want to give a little bit of background on you and what brought you up to creating Screen Junkies and all the stuff that led to what we're going to talk about?
Sure. I guess that's fair to say. I was pretty successful in the digital space, I think is a safe way to call it. And even before Screen Junkies, I'd won an MTV Movie Award. Is it back there? The Golden Popcorn. It is right there. Boom.
Nice.
I got to win that for a film, and that really put me on some radars. And so when I got to do that, it was like on the show. It was 2007. It was for a short called United 300 that did really well. That some people were like, oh my God, I remember that short. I'd done a lot of spoofs and stuff online. I was sort of a spoof guy. Weird Al was my idol. I was a fan. And so I got into YouTube doing mostly spoofs. And then United 300 sort of got me like a rep. And got me more opportunities and jobs. And then I worked at Disney for a short period. And then I got poached to work at Defy Media, what was break.com at the time. Mm-hmm. And that's when but I'd worked with like Fred, if people remember YouTube's Fred, like hi, everybody. Yep. I got to help Fred do his first like scripted stuff with fellow actors right as he was going to Nickelodeon. He did some movies. The Annoying Orange was like a huge thing at the time. I was friends so I was like involved and have my hand in a lot of like upcoming various adult or kid oriented sort of channels on YouTube. And so as all that was brewing, then I got to work at Break and sort of run some of their channels, do content for them. We did a bunch of really fun stuff that I'm proud of. So I built Screen Junkies with other people, but I was sort of in charge of that initiative. And then came up with the idea for Honest Trailers, which I then did with a colleague named Brett. We made that series there, and then that kept going, and I was able to see that through, as well as movie fights. And then we did a show called Man at Arms on Ami, which I'm really proud of, which was I just had watched a guy making a dagger on YouTube, and I was like, this is cool. And it had a lot of views. And I was like, what if we did the He-Man sword? And so I tracked down this blacksmith and made this whole series with an amazing crew of producers helping me get all that done. But that was so much fun to make. That ended up going to El Rey. It was on TV. So yeah, I mean, I did a show called Prank It Forward that I'm really proud of. I worked with Smosh and Clever and all these brands. So yeah, I got to really be, a pretty big deal in the internet space. I think people started, people who knew were like, oh man, Andy makes good stuff. We did The Rock married some, like I'm good at ideas and knowing digital, how to sort of get them out there and having good titles and thumbnails and working with people. So that was always my superpower. And so I was living the high life, setting it up. Everything was great. And can I curse?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just fucked it all up. It's basically where we're going to get to. Sure. But
our channel's already demonetized, so say whatever you need to say.
Yeah, no, mine is like that too. I'm always fighting the YouTube monetization. But yeah, you're not supposed to say it until like 10 minutes in, apparently. You're allowed to curse, but they're the rules on YouTube don't make sense. But yeah, I effed it all up, and we can get into whatever you want to talk about there. But before all that happened, I was I'm still very proud of a lot of stuff I was able to make and create. And I as I've come back now, it's just like I've made a point to like, a lot of people just want me to move on and erase sort of my involvement in things. And I've come to learn like, no, I'm not okay with that. Like if you want to not talk to me, if you don't want to engage with me, if you don't want to be a fan of me, totally your choice, but people don't get to rewrite and erase the history of work you've done. And so, it's a fight that I'm still fighting and always sort of going to be vocal about. That annoys some people, and I still like, get over it. Can't just get over things like that. It takes a lot of time, and I'm getting there.
Yeah. You're human. You've made some mistakes, and we're definitely going to talk about that. However, that those mistakes don't change the vast amounts of amazing, incredible work that you've done over the years. But let's talk about how you fucked it all up. Do you want to? How do you want to approach this?
I'm going to let you tell me. I've talked about this so many times. I'm not afraid to talk about any of it, but I enjoy talking about it just so people know the full story, because I'm not afraid of talking about it. At the same time, it's like I've seen, like, you don't want to just go on an apology tour and do it over and over and over again. But the reality is you sometimes have to do that because the media and people don't really know or haven't heard the whole story. They hear it from somebody else. So yeah, I'm always open to talking about it if somebody has a question. So yeah, ask me what you want or set up what you want. I'm happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Right on. So I don't want it to be I don't want it to be so much an apology tour or anything like that. I wanted to have you on because I thought it was a fascinating story. You were one of the first to get hit with this #MeToo thing, and you came out, you put out this video, like 2 years after all the shit went down, and then you exposed enough of it to convince me that, hey, some really nasty stuff went down and ruined this guy's life, basically. So I think it's more important to put out your story so that people know that not every single accusation should be taken on face value, and somebody's entire career that they created from the ground up can be taken away from them just based off of a tweet.
Yeah, no, look, that happened. Absolutely, that happened, and we'll go there. But it's like how times have changed.
Yeah,
the entire believe women. They only believe women unless it's your presidential candidate.
Amen.
I can't, because I'll be honest, I'm still like more liberal. I am just in parts of me, but I've become way more centered over all this experience. And like right now, as I'm watching the media and the hypocrisy of just like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is just ridiculous. And don't get me wrong, like Trump has been on tape doing the things that Biden's accused of,
or at least saying the things.
He's admitted on audio, right, that he's done it. He's grabbed him, whatever, which is what Biden's accusation. Like, I'm not here to judge. It's like, but due process should have been a thing for everybody. Doesn't matter what political side you're on. And for the left, it wasn't. They were just hammering down on everybody. So it's important to sort of say, like, the tides have, thank God, they're starting to change and people are starting to see the hypocrisy. But yeah, rewind back to 2017. This was literally the days after Ashley Judd posted her sort of reveal and tirade about Harvey Weinstein, who, let's be clear on the record, absolute monster, deserved everything he had coming to him.
Right.
But the problem was when that happened, everyone in Hollywood was like, oh crap, who's next? Oh crap, we've been enabling this monster for years. Oh crap, I've probably said something to an actress or something. Oh crap, am I going to get called out next? Everyone in Hollywood was terrified because they were like, who are they going to call? So that was now that I can look back to it and see it with clear eyes, that's what happened. And to be fair, I was worried too, because I'm like, oh crap, I was cheating on my wife. I was cheating on my wife with fans, completely consensually. And it all started because, if I'm going to go back and tell you the story, I guess let's get there. It all started with a fan who engaged and flirted with me. And so it started when a fan DM'd me and was clearly interested and tried to hook up with me. Yep. And I was, I don't want to talk about my private life and the marriage. That's not my place. And I don't want to touch upon the dirty stuff, but because some stuff just, it's not fair to her and everything else. But I will say, I wasn't in a good place. Not justifying it, but I clearly wasn't in a good place. And doesn't warrant I'm embarrassed and horrified by my actions and my infidelities. It happens a lot, is what I've learned. And it's no one's really business. And there were people that were actually victims, my ex-wife, in that story. And that's why I don't really want to get too much into it. But it's important I sort of say, a fan started flirting with me. And when that happened and I sort of realized, oh crap, people are interested in me. Like I didn't know how to handle it. I just didn't know how to handle it. And so I was like, I just assumed everybody was interested in me. And I had some power. And so that was, I think, where a lot of people have a problem with me, or did then during my actions. And I can see that. We can talk about that too. But what happened was, look, and this is an excuse, but I'm just sharing, because I share these stories not to sort of say, well, it was me, or, oh, I should get a pass, but just so other people out there can hopefully relate or not do what I did. But I was just a fat kid my whole life, unpopular nerd, and nerddom wasn't ever a popular thing. I was growing up, and I was not, I didn't have a lot of friends that were females, and no one was really interested in me like that. And so I didn't know how to handle women. I didn't know how to do it. I was awkward. It was weird. So suddenly, as I'm suddenly becoming, famous as a nerd, and I'm meeting these beautiful, like awesome, nerdy girls who seem engaging with me and are interested in me, I took that as like, oh, cool. They're interested in me. I'm going to flirt with them. Yeah. And so, what I did as I flirted back, and then there was a one fan I hooked up with. No one knows about this fan, and I'm not going to reveal this fan because I've talked to said fan, and this fan knew I wasn't what was being said, but also just didn't want to get involved in the drama. Sure. That's how it started. And so there were, probably about a dozen fans that I've engaged with and talked to over the course of my career there. And that's what happened. And so and so what happened was that had been for, 3 years, dozen girls that I'd sort of flirted with on DMs, as the head of, this thing, which for a lot of people, that was a breach of trust that I understand. But I was just flirting with them. I was literally like, hey, what's up? And a lot of the DMs got out there. A lot of them are out of context. A lot of them aren't really fair, but they're embarrassing as hell. Like, I'm just an awkward guy with no game trying to just get attention from girls.
I've seen the tweets.
And so
the text.
Yeah. I mean, and most people who read them saying like, this guy's either just fine. Okay. I'm a creep, but also just like, I'm just awkward and awful. Right.
Sure.
It's really, usually, if we're really being honest, is what it's about. And so like, that's all true. I can't deny any of that. That's what it was. And it was awful and it was embarrassing. But what people don't understand was no one complained. No one had an issue. No one said anything, including people close to me who knew a little bit. No one said anything until one woman came forward and said I assaulted her. So fast forward now you know the background of what I did and what I was guilty of. When that happened, there were two actual accusations. One said I tried to ask if I could do a Louis C.K. in front of her. Sure. Totally out of context. That's not how it went down. Yeah. The way she told the story wasn't fair at all. I explained that in my video too. She was anyway, but she sort of set the tone, but she was working with this other girl who then said, yeah, he tried to sexually assault me on multiple occasions, is how she said it. Right. And then she sort of doubled down and kept saying it, and then started telling the story. And then this person was dating someone I worked with. And so she was believable because people were like, well, why would she be making this up? And then I was silent because I'm like, oh crap, my wife doesn't know about this stuff. I have to come clean. Who knows what's going to come out? I need to fess up to everything. Right. So and then I have, my employer saying, don't talk. We'll come in Monday. We're going to go through these accusations. So it was just like a weekend of a whirlwind where literally it was everywhere. I was not a famous person by any stretch of the imagination, but every outlet, everyone I ever worked with saw the story. It was just slow news day. Everyone was just dying for more Me Too stories. And I was just suddenly now number 2 in here's another creep like Harvey Weinstein. And so my face was just pasted next to him. And I didn't really understand what that was doing at the time, which was really unfortunate because I wish I had fought back harder earlier. Who would have known, really? But I had then lawyers, published people were all sort of advising me, telling me. And then anyway, long story short, this woman who was lying just kept hammering me on Twitter. My parent, I just remember I'm like, what is this girl? What is this girl doing? Like, why? And then because everyone knew because I had the text messages of this exchange that I've been holding on to for 2 years. I was like, am I crazy? Like, it's all here. Everything. The only thing you guys don't get to see is what happened in the room, but you can see the exchanges before and after my 2 encounters with this person. Does this seem like what? Right. There's nothing I'm hiding. Like, you've seen it all. It's there. Is this how you would talk to somebody if that's how she's painting it? And it was very clear, like, no, obviously she was lying. But she was hammering. And so it ended up, so I'm just trying to sum it up for you, but give you the extent of it. As that all happened, fans who I'd flirted with over the past 3 years all stepped up to back her up. They did. They came forward and they're like, yeah, he flirted with me. there were people who were like, I never thought it was a big deal, but now I see why. And so there was this gang up mob mentality to now paint me as a predator. Right. I was a predator abusing my power, just trying to offer Screen Junkies access for these girls. And that's where I have serious problems, because that was not what was happening at all. I made mistakes. I shouldn't have flirted with these girls, especially because I was married. Right. But I refuse to allow this narrative by my own peers, who have now remained silent after just sort of, putting it out there, that I was this malicious predator trying to get all these women and give them what they want and offer them things. There are a couple instances out there, but they're all out of context, and they're not. I never offered a quid pro quo. I never was like, suck this if you want to come here, like, oh, I'll do that. Like, it was never like that. There was awkward flirtations, and there was me just sort of like, yeah, I'm you know me. Yeah, I know Kevin Smith. It was never like, hey, want to come blow me to meet Kevin Smith? And that's why I'm so frustrated, because everyone just assumes that's what I was doing. You got like one bad line that I see now, like, oh, that reads bad out of context. I shouldn't have said it. Mm-hmm. But then they infer that it was like, yes, he must have been doing this to dozens of girls. Look. And that's what really bothers me, because that's what then really just destroyed my character. Because while I was a cheat and I was a bit of a scumbag in that regard, and I should have learned better. I should have been able to. I wish I could have learned better. I wish people could have taught me better. And like my bosses, they were doing it too. To be fair, like I just didn't know any better, and I know I should have. But I wish I could have like had a dialogue about it with people, rather than just have them completely torture me and say, "Oh, you clearly were doing this maliciously. You were out to prey on these girls. Like, you're a monster. You're Harvey Weinstein." And that's what happened. So basically, I was caught, cheating and flirting with my fan base. One accuser said I assaulted her, and then I had to be silent because I had counsel advising me to stay silent, pursuing a case that I later settled. Once I settled said case, I was finally able to come forward and display my evidence. And that's when I sort of came back fighting harder and came back to social media and just tried to rebuild my name, which has been tough, because not a lot of people want to have the conversation. The media sure as hell didn't want to tell the story. And then there's a lot of people with egg on their face, or just people who refuse to engage because they're like, I don't care what he says. He was a jerk. Sure. What he did was terrible. He doesn't deserve a second chance.
That doesn't make him a sexual abuser.
That, and as quickly as I can sum it all up for the best for your viewers to understand what happened, that's sort of it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Right on. So you said you had a case, a legal dispute that was settled. Are you able to talk about what happened with that and how it was settled? Okay. Then we will move on.
Nope. Just that it was settled.
Sure. Yeah, and that's part of the issue, is that it doesn't really matter how it was settled or what happened there. What matters is that we have a legal justice system that is in place for these situations, and now given the cultural climate, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. To be
clear, that settlement was for wrongful termination and defamation.
Okay, gotcha.
That case, rather. Well, let me put it out there. I didn't go after my accusers.
Sure.
I can talk a bit about that. That's separate. I don't want to talk about my former employer or that settlement, just because I don't want to do that. All I can say is I went after them for 12 charges, including defamation, wrongful termination. The point of the matter is they settled. Settled together. So, but regarding the accusers, that separately, I couldn't afford to go after them, because I was told by attorneys, like, well, they don't have any money. There's no benefit. These are, even though you did this, it's in California especially, it's really harder to do. In other countries, it's way easier to do. And so it just became like, well, and in hindsight, I wish I had just figured out a way to find some money and do it for my own name, just for the sake of just saying, truth, because I would have won. But at the same time, like, it would have destroyed their lives. And I didn't want to just eye for an eye at that point. Part of me regrets that a little bit at times, but the other case was more important to me just because it meant other things.
Yeah.
And so that's why I pursued that. And then at that point, I just wanted to move on. Get it out there and try to make sure the record was straight. And I think it did a pretty good job. It definitely got out there. It didn't get my colleagues made a video that has 1 million views. Mine has about 300,000. So I'm still every day trying to get the word out that I'm not Harvey Weinstein, that I effed up, but I'm here taking accountability. I'm talking about it. I want to talk about abuse of power with men and cheating when people want to talk about it. I'm an open book now. And in anything, it's weird. It's made me stronger of a person. I feel like it's made me more honest and more genuine in my life. And for that, I'm oddly grateful. I've met someone incredible. I have an amazing family. Like I'm in a better place, but I'm still struggling with sort of like the career, like just trying to get to work and do what I'm good at. It's still a struggle to like make ends meet, make sure I can get work. That's still the problem I face.
Sure. Yeah. So your accuser, this was kind of what I was getting at. She didn't press legal charges on you, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So she claims that she was allegedly
finally police
raped.
reports, never did anything. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, didn't go through the legal process, and it doesn't matter. All that matters is that she tweeted enough that people heard her, and the mob mentality is, well, not only believe the woman and take him down.
Yeah, she tweeted inconsistent things, and then all she did was then rally up the fan base and the mob to share more examples.
Yeah,
that's how it went. And because she knew I was a cheater and had done, hooked up with, she knew that before it happened. Because she knew and started like reaching out to other, like any other fans or people, she blanketed everybody until she found a couple like, okay, so it wasn't just me. Then she knew, all right, great. Well, I'll just have I suspect she knew like, all right, great. It'll be such an amount that it won't matter that I'm lying, because I still don't know what her motivations were. But I do think she was trying to save face with her boyfriend, to know that he wasn't, second fiddle. The fact that she hooks up with me and then hooks up with him the same night. Right. I think she was trying to save face, didn't want to seem like, she was out there chasing clout. And clearly she was. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. She that once I dropped everything, she dropped a statement again, because she was very vocal. I don't know if you were paying attention, but she was very vocal that weekend and like that week, just hammering. And then finally I come back and she's like, I'm done on this until he steps forward again. 2 years later, drop the whole thing. And
right.
It's, I knew this would happen, but I stick to, this is my truth. And I'm done. It was like, okay, thanks. And that, if anything, that only helped me, because people were like, what, girl? Like, come on. You got explaining to do. And then she had to
move on for her mental health or whatever.
She had to move on for her mental health, not ever accounting like what her actions might have caused, not just me, but my family, my ex-wife,
right.
my kids. Like, she's just an awful, awful human being, what she did. And I know, like, it is what it is. She'll face her own karma in life for doing that. She knows what she did was wrong. Mm-hmm. And I have to sort of live with that. And I've come to terms with that. But there are other, there were other betrayals through it all that I'm still trying to come to terms with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if her accusations were true, she wouldn't just say, I have to move on. I'm just going to let this lie immediately after you put out all this obvious evidence that she's lying. She's not speaking as though something even happened to her. She's just saying, you know what? I'm done with this. Don't want to talk about it. Don't want to address the claims that he's making.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of, I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but yeah, she had it out to me earlier, like, but this happened in October. But when I went back and like did my homework, there was like a tweet in April of that year where she and 2 other people who were out to get me, like, were sort of combining stories and lies to sort of try and take me down, because they weren't happy with the lack of, diversity and female representation on the channel. Mm-hmm. And so there were 2 other people that were like very vocal in getting this accuser to sort of step up and tell her story. We're going to knock his house of cards down, is how it was said on Twitter, because they were just that they wanted to remove me from the equation because they felt like I was an enemy. Yeah. And cheater, whatever they want to call me, that's fair. Sure. But to destroy my livelihood the way they did was despicable. It was absolutely despicable.
Absolutely. So you kind of mentioned it earlier, and I actually had it down here as a question. Are you glad that you had kind of this hard reset? I mean, as painful as it was, as shitty as it was, but you kind of got your life, sounds like you got your life on track in a more clear-headed way, even though you lost all this in the process.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, even my accuser or worst enemy. It's not, so I try not to, make sure I'm never doing that to anyone else. At the same time, like, I do believe in due process, and I got to stand up against hypocrisy. It's really important to me. But yeah, I mean, I am in an odd way now become grateful, and I don't know if I would change things, because I mean, I would have loved to have done those things, absolutely, and not hurt the people I hurt. Don't get me wrong there. I mean, yes, but the problem is, like, I clearly needed to reset it, as you said. I wish I had been man enough to do it the right way. Yeah. And just leave or, address it. So yeah, I mean, in that way, I wish I would change things. But I mean, as for being able to live where I'm at now, I'm happy. I'm very happy with my family. I have an amazing family, amazing woman in my life and kids. And I couldn't change anything because I don't want to miss out on what I have now. Mm-hmm. But the big problem right now is it's still affecting me financially, my livelihood. It's tough. Like, yeah, sure, I can go do Ubering and work at Walmart if that, but everyone has a dream, and I don't want them to crush my dreams and what I think are my talents, which I was really good at and earned a lot of, and lost my marriage because of how much I worked and built these brands. I feel like I'm good at it, and people think I'm good at it. They're, like right now, my own fans are really funding me back right now, and I'm grateful for it. So that to me means something. If I want to try to keep climbing up that, I don't need to. I think there's a problem. Like I always, even at my highest salary and position I had over there in that old life, it never was enough. And so I'm really grateful now also with this reset of like, I don't need that. I don't need the level I was at. I just want a level that that I can live and like, okay, cool. And I can help people and just be comfortable. And that's why I moved to Florida. I live in Florida now in California because I'm like, who the hell can afford to live out in California? Yeah. I can make ends meet just barely right now. And if I can sustain that a bit and help others and help promote some other people and just do what I love to do and put food on the table and live comfortably and be happy, dude, that's the American dream right there. That's all I want. I don't need to be, super mega famous person like I thought I needed to be. That's not what I want, but I do want to at least have some respect back with a community and the ability to be able to move forward, right? Without someone trying to kick me down saying, no, you're that rapist, is what I'm currently struggling with, which is like, right. Hi, God, guys, let me move on. Just let me move on. But there's always someone to tear you down, always trying to troll you and remind you, no, you're a shitty rapist. We don't know everything. And it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Why are you focused on you? Right. That's the current dilemma that I wish I could, I'm still trying to fight against. But at the same time, it's a price I got to pay for mistakes I made. And that's not what keeps me awake at nights. When I have my tough times, it's what I did to my family. It's like, it's the betrayals of friends and family of being a scumbag in that regard. That's the pain no one really understands. And that's type of stuff I try to talk about with people when they need it, because it's like a lot of dudes are cheating more often than they want to admit. Sure. And it doesn't ever help. And I learned that the hard way. And so if I can help be at least a warning story for others to say, man, I don't want to mess it up like he did. Then, like I said, I'm finding positives. I'm doing better in my life than I was then.
That's awesome. Now, what are your thoughts as somebody who's suffered the outcome of the #MeToo movement used improperly? What are your thoughts on the movement in itself? Are you opposed to it, or do you think it still has value with all the ups and downs that we've seen throughout the years?
I think what Joe Biden's saying now is actually correct. Like due process. Like, yeah, of course, when a woman comes forward, or a man, we need to hear them out. But we also have to make sure and vet what they're saying is accurate. So to me, like, we're now there once he's been accused. So do I don't think believe all women was correct. It's not believe all women. It's, it's listen to everyone, believe everyone. Right. And I think that's where we got stuck of just like I get it. There's a lot of, I've looked into and I've watched and read about, just like it's for especially for females, when you come forward with a sexual assault accusation, more often than not, nobody believes them. The cops figure out a way to just, no, well, you don't know who says you weren't asking for it. There are legit problems with that sort of protocol. So I can't just say, well, no, I understand the intent was meant well. You know what I mean? Like I support that. And I think it is important. And I think Time's Up did, expose some people that needed to be exposed, including myself. I'm a cheater and doing some things, but what was so wrong was the mob mentality of cancel culture. Yeah, we started just canceling everybody before we even gave them the opportunity to due process. That's when the thing went too far, and I think they just got drunk with power, and they're like, "Finally, our time! Burn them all!" And a lot of those people were just hypocrites. Yeah, and they're proving it right now. And they're like, "No, Biden's better than Trump because, well, who cares if he did it once before? It's still better than Trump. Any orange man bad." Sort of what they all do. And I'm not a Trump fan. Like I don't like the guy. I don't. But at the same time, like, I can step back and talk to a Trump supporter and try to understand, well, why? What is it? And that it'll actually have a civil conversation. But there's so many people on the other side that they can't. If they hear you voted for Trump, you're the devil. Oh my God, you're a troll. I can't engage with you anymore.
Cancel you just because you voted a certain way.
Yeah,
like that's all it takes these days.
And I sort of was that in my old life. I'll admit it. And I've learned now you can't, that's not, I'm grateful that I've been clicked on a way of just being open to hearing the other side and respecting all sides now, to me, is important. We're not going to agree. We can't always agree on everything, but you got to listen to each other or we are worse. And so as for did Me Too, I mean, there were benefits to it. Absolutely. But I think it got too powerful, and the people running it just weren't thinking through like what was I read it at the time. It was like, yeah, there'll be casualties, but it's worth the cause because the cause is too important.
Yeah.
And to me, that's where they were wrong. That's not okay. You can't just suddenly be like, because the ramifications for that are happening now, where now all the goodwill they did create is going to fall by the wayside because they were just so aggressive with their power that they didn't even think through like, well, how do we actually make sure this is done properly? And that's what, because if anything, I hope Me Too made it so women, particularly, seemingly, but men too, can speak up. Because I think a lot of them just didn't feel like they could speak up because no one would listen. And I think if anything, the seriousness of it all and the fear that happened from it has now made it so I hope, and they better, please, now, if they don't speak up now, like, sorry, you have every opportunity to speak up now. The world is now adjusted to allow you to speak up. They may not listen, they may not, whatever, but say it. You have to say it. You can't say it 30 years later. You have to come forward and say it, or they're gonna get away with it. That's how it works now. So if anything, if we've learned that from all of this, that is a win in my eyes. But I think, we still have a long way coming because it's got to be about due process, but it's just hard to prove sometimes. But we still have to believe women, but we also have to believe men. So
at least do the due diligence of going to try to tell the cops.
Correct.
Like, you can't just say it and make it so. Like even
if the cop doesn't believe you, you still said it, because then you're a more credible witness if you at least went and told somebody.
Right.
If the cops are going to ignore you, which they do, let's be honest, they're not all great.
Sure.
You have to make the action of going to tell, or you're going to lose. And I think I hope more people understand and hear that louder and louder of like, no, go tell. If someone's doing something inappropriate, even in that regard to your work, if they're requiring a quid pro quo, speak up. You have to. But then what's scary is people will speak up and lie. And that's where we're caught now. So you can't just cancel. And it's been proven now multiple times, several times. So we can't just now say, because this woman said it, we must believe her, and therefore you're now on leave. That is scary. That's very scary.
And I think a lot of the problem is that victimhood status is so popular these days. And there's a great, I don't remember who said it, but there's a great quote: "When victimhood is currency, expect counterfeits." And I think it's so true. And it's not like people have something to gain in destroying somebody else's life, and the rest of the internet loves to watch people fall. It's entertainment to them. They don't think about celebrities as humans, so they're just like, "Oh, good, another one. Let's watch this fire burn for today, and then we'll go back to our regular scheduled programming."
Yeah, it's become it's like the Gladiator. It's just a very weird. That's Twitter and social media in general, though. It's become so damn toxic.
Right.
People are just so righteous and virtuous. I try to do it less and less, but it's hard. And that's the one thing I regret going back into this space is I have to engage in that stuff, and it can unnerve you. You gotta have a really thick skin and not let it get to you. But it's hard to not have someone just tear you apart and not have it hit you a little bit, But that's why I'm so grateful if you build the right community when you're down and you say you're down, they can help lift you up and be like, no, we got your back. And that's what's important. Make sure you can find that pocket on the web too, because they're there too if you build it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey guys, this is Dan's wife, Kayla. I just wanted to interrupt this podcast to let you know that he puts a lot of work into it for currently no monetary profit. And he has a family to feed. To do so, he runs his own media business called Goulash Media. Dan has a crazy creative brain that makes him uniquely able to take your project, whatever it may be, and make it the full package. So whether you're in need of graphic design, logos, branding, commercials, wedding videos, podcast jingles, music production, music videos, merchandise, websites, pictures, or what have you, contact Dan and he'll seriously make you look and sound awesome. For more information, just go to goulashmedia.net. That's goulash, Goulash, media.net, where Dan caters to the little guy with the big vision.
So let's talk a little bit about online YouTube drama, because there's plenty of it, and you're very familiar with it, of course. With all this stuff that's been going on, how have you bounced back from this in starting your new channels with Popcorned Planet and Hugging the Cactus? What kind of pushback have you gotten in that process?
I mean, YouTube is the pushback. I mean, the YouTube platform itself is broken, and the quarantine hasn't helped it. I mean, you can't even say. We call it the Bud Light because we can't even call it what it's called on YouTube, which is just,
right.
why? I literally
We talk about conspiracies on this show, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, literally, well, here's another one for you. I just posted a video yesterday about Johnny Depp in the Pirates reboot.
Yep.
And I literally say, I guess I said Johnny Depp and I said Amber Heard. Didn't really get into the drama, didn't say any curse words, nothing. Just talked about the reboot and that they were going to put this new female pirate in it, Red, and talked about that. Literally nothing. And then I think my colleague said balls at one point. She's English.
I like how you're going to drop all these in my video to make sure that I can't.
Okay, so you're screwed now. Your video is done. I said fuck at the beginning, so you're good. And then we said wenches. And so I'm like, what? So anyway, the video got demonetized. It got limited. Right? I have, I don't know if you have it, but I have the I have this new thing where I can sort of self-monetize and sort of answer questions to ensure that it gets a better shot of being rejected or not, or limited. As for people, hopefully your audience understands what we're talking about. But like when you post a video, you get the yellow or the green dot, which means like, is it monetized or is it limited? And when it's limited, it's just not shared as widely. You don't get profit on the video, and it's sort of like a dead video for your channel, because we're not doing. It's the point of making content for YouTube if we don't get to make the revenue off of it. And sometimes we curse or do things and the subject matter is tough, and I get it, and they're going to demonetize it. Fine. But why would a Pirates reboot video where I just say the words Johnny Depp and Amber Heard get demonetized? It just shows that the system is broken. And so half my time is spent like re-editing and trying to work with the algorithm just to get monetized on videos that are following their guidelines. And then it takes 2 days to review the video. And then by that time your views are over, and every 10,000 views I get counts. I need that money. And otherwise, why am I doing it? So I would say the biggest problem for me has been that, is just how to monetize. Hugging the Cactus, which is the channel I do, it's about stories of people who are canceled. Literally, if I put the word canceled in a title or anything, demonetized. And these are like legit important conversations that should be ad friendly. And I'm never going to get monetized on that channel. So I don't do that one for the money, but it would be nice to get a little, if I got $100 a month doing those, it helps, right? It's just something to warrant the time. But YouTube as a platform is really what's holding me back. There are haters and there's drama and all that stuff, but YouTube rewards the drama. Right. They want you to talk about drama, otherwise you don't get the click. So unless you call this video something crazy, sleazy about me, probably no one will even click on it. Is how YouTube works, is what's really scary about it. But that's what I'm learning. And so sometimes I'll lean into the drama just to build up the algorithm back up. And then I'll get a lot of flack from a group of the subscribers who are like, "Why are you always doing the tea and the drama? Shut up, get over it, blah blah blah. That's what I want to talk about movies." And then I'll do
because that's why you're here.
Yeah, and I do 3 videos about exactly. But then I'll do 3 videos about the movies, and they don't click on them. They don't give a crap about my movies. They only want to click when it's the other one. So I would say coming back, that's been my lesson and my struggle of just like trying to figure out the platform. And then I've learned that a lot of my subscribers are just there to watch me burn or watch me. And I realize that's not helping. And so I'm trying to like weed them out and get them angry so I can block them or remove them, so I can just make a community because the problem is if you have that sort of divisive community, no one wants to hang out in the chat and like stay there and come back.
Right.
So I'm slowly figuring out how to do it now, where I'm weeding out the bad apples, and people then accuse you of, "Oh, you're censoring me." It's like, no, it's my channel. I'm allowed to do whatever the hell I want on my channel. If you're being a troll and yelling at my fans, go away. I don't want you here. Sorry, go to another channel. That's not
start your own channel and yell on that.
Your own channel, and I have every right to build the rules of my community. And so, thankfully, I've built that, and I'm building a nice little small community. We have a Discord and a channel, and it's been helpful. Those are the lessons learned of my YouTube. My back to YouTube.
Yeah. Now, do you have any theories on what the reason is for all this YouTube censorship that's going around? Because it's certainly increased over the last few years. I mean, the left will say that they're being knocked down for their political leanings, and the right will say the same thing. And why? What is the reason? Do you have any idea?
Well, I think they're just pussies. Is really what it's about. YouTube sucks the ads. That's what they're there. They don't give a crap about anything but the ads. And right now, YouTube doesn't need us. They have Jimmy Fallon. They have John Oliver. They have Saturday Night Live. They have Hot Ones. Right. They have huge daily programming from huge celebrities that are making huge CPMs. And that's what the ad revenue is going to. People want to buy that. They don't want to buy our shows. Let's be honest. Now, it's Google, and there's a lot, and they filter it out, and they sprinkle it out to the others. But I think to them, they are overcompensating their guideline, their auto things, just because when they get one complaint of, "Oh my God, I can't believe my ad was on that video," that's huge money they lose. And so they have to assure these brands that it's not going to happen. So to do that, they've completely screwed over the people and the YouTubers that have built this community for them, built this channel for them. They've completely just, we're good. Go talk to support. We love creators. Yay, Team YouTube. They don't give a shit about us. They do not give a shit about us. They care about how they sweet talk these networks into coming in and planning Saturday Night Live sketches on YouTube. That is probably getting Saturday Night Live and NBC more revenue. We just don't even know it than the broadcast is, because they're replaying them all. They millions of views every single week. They post them. Why would Saturday Night Live do that? Why would NBC give the rights to all of those sketches if they weren't making bank? So my point is, like, if you're going to go down the conspiracy theory, it's like, I don't think any of us really are prepared to understand the amount of CPM and money that they're just giving it all to them instead of us. And so we are just getting this, like, turn the robot on them. Let the robot figure that out. But if Fallon calls, I'm sure it's like, sorry, Jimmy. Yeah, you're good. You want to do a Corona video? Great. It's demonetized. Have fun. Right. I genuinely believe that's the conspiracy that's happening because they just don't care. That's why they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it 100%. It's gotten ridiculous, but so your new show that you just started, well, not that recently, but it's you've got your Popcorn Planet, which is all the movie chat and the nerd bickering. Then you've got this new thing that is
nerd. Change the channel. Nerd bickering. That's a good title.
You've got this new channel that is something completely different than that. Do you want to talk a little bit? Because that's, I mean, obviously the other is important to you for monetization, but this is more important probably for the message. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, sure. Thanks. I mean, Popcorn Planet is sort of what people know me as, of just continuing the nerd wars and the fights and the movie talk, and that's what I know and I'm good at. I can talk about movies and TVs and stuff, TV shows and stuff. But when I came back, I was like, I want to actually try and make something else that I can be proud of. And so Hugging the Cactus was built. And it was this show where basically I found other people who had been wronged or people who had screwed up, and basically people that aren't being heard, people who the media just doesn't really want to talk about, or people that sort of we've written off and assumed one way, but never really just got a chance to tell their side of the story. And so that's what the show is sort of Hugging the Cactus is sort of that. I found this clip where Robert Downey Jr. was sharing the story about Mel Gibson, because people forget they love Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. Like they forget Robert Downey Jr. was canceled pretty hard with his drug and everything he was doing. He did some pretty terrible stuff, and now he's Disney friendly Robert Downey Jr. and more power to him. Like bravo. But he was sharing the story of like down and out during his worst days. Like Mel Gibson was ironically the one who put a roof over his head and hired him in a movie and made sure he was still worthy, and then shared this whole story about if you hug the cactus hard enough, at some point you'll be a better man because of it. He's like, all I ask is that what's worse about yourself, everything. And then all I ask is at some point when you get through it to then, do it for somebody else, like help them. And then as Robert's telling his speech, he's like, who would have thought I'd be doing it right now for Mel? And turns back and everyone laughs because Mel's now gone through his own sort of cancellation and awful things he's done. And so, then he's like, Mel's hugged the cactus long enough. It's like, oh no. So that's really that term of just sort of, I feel I related to it totally, because even though I didn't feel like I didn't do everything I was accused of, I still feel like I did some wrongs, obviously. Why did I cheat? Was I lying about, that to my wife and everything? And why would I betray and put my friends and that brand in jeopardy even at all, just by flirting with fans? It seemed stupid and selfish. And so I really had to look in the mirror hard and really just sort of embrace that pain, and figure out where it came from. So that's where that show was born. And I thought, that's where that term came from. And then as I was back, when I came back from it all, and luckily I had time, right? A lot of people I've noticed it now, folks that cancel and they're back 2-3 months later. And I think it's a mistake, because if I didn't have that time to really grow and heal and face myself in the mirror and be offline, I don't think I would have been as ready to do it as well as I hope I did. Yeah. But that time sort of gave me time to much. And during that time, so many people would reach out as I came back, like, oh my God, I'm so inspired to see you back. I never got the chance. I didn't keep my receipts, or I didn't do this or that. And so Kaylin Ford was the first one. And she sort of inspired it because I wanted to do something. When she called and told me your story, I was like, man, I want to do this as a podcast and tell your story and tell other stories of people who aren't being heard. So that's what the show is really giving these people who I think just got a really shitty stick and deserve a path to redemption. to not just keep getting kicked and ignored. The show is really sort of shining a spotlight for them to sort of be able to, like, to have something out there to just support them and give them another shot. And so, yeah, we've been lucky. We had some cool guests, and we did a Tiger King episode where I got Soph, who talked about Joe Exotic and does he deserve redemption, and got to the truth about that. We had Richard Hatch from Survivor. I was a big Survivor fan. He was like the $1 million winner, but then all these conspiracy theories with CBS actually is the one who got him his tax evasion charges, because they were hiding their own books and everything else, and then tried to take him out. Fascinating story. He's a really smart guy. And then we had this guy who was shunned by Leonardo DiCaprio, and I had this girl who was a pretty big story where Glee fans destroyed her life. So anyway, I've been lucky enough to, and then we just had Taj Jackson on to defend his uncle Michael Jackson, which was a really big two-parter. And that talk about conspiracies. There's a lot. I've learned that documentary, a lot of people get triggered, but that documentary was not fully honest, and that really bothers me, because there's a lot more people should have heard, and they just believed it, just like they believed everything else. And look, I know a lot of people have issues with Michael, but I sat with Taj, and Taj was very open and honest. And I was like, here's the weird shit about Michael. Let's talk about it. Why should I believe Michael when he did this, this, and this? And he really had good reasons and justifications, sort of trying to say, look, just try to see, what if he's not? Like, listen to this. This is why he did this. Da, da, da. And it was just a fascinating conversation. And I feel like, look, the man's dead. He has a right to, like, defend him, not just himself, but his kids. Like, I just kept thinking about those poor kids of just like, my God, can you imagine how hard it is to be Michael Jackson's kid? But now, like, Oprah and these two, like, accusers who had years to protect the children and come forward, wait till he's dead and then sue the estate for money, and now they're just going to disparage their dad's name, right? Just because I find it sleazy. I can't stand it. I don't like it. And so I was happy to sort of help him share his story out there. And so that's what the channel's about. Just really, no matter how unpopular it is, like, giving people the opportunity to, like, just be heard, tell them out there. I'm probably doing now a spinoff, because, like, what's been stressful for me is, like, I do try to vet the stories, so I make sure I'm not actually helping a monster, because who am I to judge? So I'm actually currently working on sort of a spin-off just podcast where, like, tell me your side of the story, where that way I don't have to do as much work, but I can get a few more stories out quicker. Right. To really just sort of, like, that way if I tell someone's story who's, like, turns out to be terrible, I can at least be like, look, let's hear your side. You guys make your own decision, but everyone deserves a chance to be heard. Let's hear it out. So the channel will evolve to sort of make sure we at least get people the opportunity to share their side, and not just cancellation, but just, all sorts of the world's kicking you while you're down is really what it's about. So yeah, thank you for letting me plug it. It's Hugging the Cactus on YouTube. It's on iTunes and all other sort of podcast opportunities as well. But it's doing pretty well. I'm happy with it, and I'm excited for the opportunities of where it can go. And I know it's like one of those things, if I build it, at some point I'll get an opportunity to do some big, I hope, like, get one big video that then actually is able to pass the algorithm to sort of get people to then find the other ones. And so there's stories that can last a while. They're not just topical things that die on the vine, like I'm doing on my movie talk, which is a lot of it's like daily news. This is stuff that I feel like these stories will always be relevant. So yeah, it means a lot to me to sort of help tell these people's stories, and anybody wants to go subscribe there can.
Right on. Now, on the topic of cancel culture and accusations and such, did you follow the Corey Feldman story and all the craziness that went with this documentary? What are your thoughts? What's your take on that? Yeah,
it was weird. I didn't. It felt a little conspiracy driven, like the internet, when the internet just shut us down, and then you won't believe these names, and it was like, well, we sort of had heard the names before.
You won't believe this one name that I've already talked about like 5 years ago on national television.
I don't want to knock him. Like, I know he's been through a lot, and I do believe like he was abused and all that. But I'm sure there's a network of shady people out in Hollywood who are doing that to the child stars. I do. I'm not going to say he's lying about it, but yeah, I do believe the method in which he did it was a little questionable. Yeah. So that's my feeling on him. I've heard. Like he's had it tough. Like I've heard, again, I'm not naming sources, and it wasn't the guy I spoke to, but because he was like one who was always a supporter of Michael Jackson. Yeah. And then he was sort of came out and at one point and was like, well, yeah, I guess he sort of changed his tune on him.
Yeah, it was right after the documentary came out. Yeah. He was like, oh, never mind. I take it back.
I saw that, I was really disappointed. I was like, really? You of all people, now you're coming and I learned through some other sources, potentially, again, hearsay, whatever, but he was pressured to do that in order to get his movie made. And so what I'm getting at is like I feel like the dude's clearly like I don't know if he's in the best place and he's just trying to get heard and relevant and do what he needs to do and get the and probably do some good as well. He's later now since again retracted and sort of come back and said, no, I don't believe it. But that and just sort of happened. I feel for him. I feel bad. I hope he's okay. Like he seems like a smart dude and he's obviously done some weird stuff, but who weird is relative. I applaud him calling out, awful people like that. But the way he did it was definitely, I think, a little.
Well, charging money to sell Corey Haim's story, who's dead, who isn't even here to tell his own story, it just rubbed me the wrong way personally. Yeah,
and his mom, Corey Haim's mom, kept saying like, "Yeah, thank you for reminding me." Yeah, Corey Haim's like, "Please don't tell it," because I had a friend, my buddy Lewis. We did a video about it, and he knew Corey Haim. Mm-hmm. And he said one of Corey's reps was like, make sure Feldman's not there. They don't like each other. He doesn't like them. Mm-hmm. So my point being, like, I don't know if they're still why is that Corey Feldman's place to share Corey Haim's story? Right. I'm with you 100%.
And he plays it up like they were best buds up until the end.
He told me to say it on his deathbed. Like, I don't care. It's not your place to do it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Haim's mom, if there's somebody to do it. Somebody in Haim's family seems like more the right person to share that story. But
yeah, if Corey Feldman wants to share his names, more power to you. But yeah,
right.
It's my turn to tell the two. Yeah, even the title. I talk about getting demonetized.
Right.
The RAP of the two Coreys. My God, like it was just like.
Yeah, I got a YouTube strike for posting a video about it and having the title in there. So
yeah, don't do it again. It was too much. It was too much.
Yep. So what do you think the process should be for people like Louis C.K., people like Aziz Ansari, people like you? What do you think the process should be for second chances?
It's interesting because both of those two, to me, did them differently. To me, Aziz, because I look at all the new lens, but it's like, to me, Aziz was looking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Whereas Louis, I don't think gives a shit anymore. When you watch their two returns, it feels like Aziz is like, I'm so sorry, everybody. Yeah, I didn't mean to. Right, but please forgive me. That's the vibe I got on his.
Yeah.
Whereas Louis comes out and just sort of like, yeah, fuck, I'm a creep. What can I say? Obama knows my thing. How weird. Like, I thought Louis' thing was funny. Like, I watched the show. I thought it was funny.
Same.
And look, so with Aziz, I think he just he got screwed. That whole story was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You can't go and have expectations when you go up to a celebrity's house the night you met and then leave with, oh, well, he wanted to have sex with me. Yeah. Come on. That's what happens. Yeah. Well, I gave, non-vocal cues. Like, come on. And I'm not, that whole thing was just so he got screwed on that. And I think, for a lot of people, they didn't really cancel him. He got, ribbing, and then he's try to come back. But I think he's fine now. I'm sure it's tougher still. I don't want to say he's fine, but you know what I mean? I don't think he was the worst out of the Me Too movement. I don't think he got the biggest stick, hit. No. Louis, though, I do think got more than people want to say. The thing that always frustrates me about Louis is people always saying, he's fine. Oh, who cares? He's got his millions. Like, no, having your kids and everyone have to deal with that.
Right.
He lost a lot of money. I think he'll be okay in the long run. His fans will support him, but to imply like Louis didn't lose anything or go through pain, it would be unfair. And my struggle with Louis, and I feel like he has apologized. He's addressed it. But with Louis, it was more just like, I can understand where he put some women, especially then pre-Me Too, he put some women who worked for him in uncomfortable positions who might not have wanted to say no out of like, well, he won't like me then. And I can see why that is a problem, right? It's like, I understand. I think we as men, you have to look back and realize it's not cool. That's not cool. Like, if you want to ask Sarah Silverman who your buddy is, okay. And she's admitted like she thought it was funny and she was like, yeah, go for it. Like that's none of our business. Right. But like the ones you're working with, to me, that's where I think he did overstep. And I think that's where he admitted and apologized. And I think he needed to. And I think that's why people have a problem with him about it. And I think that's the one thing. And apparently he would ask and then just do it. I don't know. But all I know is, he's apologized. I think he's admitted and taken accountability for that. And I think he has every right now to go on tour and fans have the right to support him or not. I think that's where we're at with him. And it's like the people who are then trying to pick at him and say he shouldn't be there. That to me is atrocious. Like, what do you just want to ban him to an island and never let him perform again? Like, what is this guy supposed to do? a lot of people want to hear him tell jokes. And I think, I'm glad he finally came back and did jokes about it, because Louis is the most raw, honest person, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you want to hear him. I've been waiting for him to sort of explain it. What to do with them? I think they're doing it right? They're coming out when they're ready. They're sharing their side. And I think, thank God, the movement has now allowed them to be able to have audiences pay and go see it and buy it. I bought Lewis's show. I was happy to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he did pretty well with it. But when is Netflix going to be allowed to buy it is the question, right? Will people try and, it'll be interesting. We're at a point now where I don't know. I think there would be equally amount of people who would be upset that people are trying to keep it from Netflix. You know what I mean? So that's why things are changing, because I think you'd have a lot of vocal people who are like, you can't censor what I want. I want to see it. Enough. You don't have to watch it, but why can't Netflix put it out there? Right? And then there'll be people who say, well, I'm canceling my Netflix because I can't believe you'd support him. It's
just like Dave Chappelle. You can go away. You clicked on my face, motherfucker.
Exactly.
It's up to you.
Exactly. So I think, that's where we're at. You got, as for like men and women who are gone through it, you have to take accountability. If you did something wrong, take the accountability, come clean, admit it, try and figure out why you did it. Come clean to yourself first before you go public. And then, it's up to the audience to see if you're genuine, if they want you back, if they're going to have you back. And I think that's how you do it. I realize though there's not an outlet yet where people can sort of speak openly and without judgment. And I'm trying to offer that on my channel. And I hope other channels and places, it seems like you do it too. Having people to have the venue to be able to speak candidly about certain things is also important in this movement. And I don't think enough people do. So that's I think the next thing Louis needs to do, go on Joe Rogan and just lay it all out there. And I'm sure it'll happen. But to me, that's the next phase we're waiting for, is him to show up on the Rogan podcast. And then Joe's going to push him on some of the questions. You'll hear him, and those will get picked for the media. And then that'll either be good or bad. But I think that'll help him more than hurt him to finally get like people to say, no, because Joe should have asked, like, when can Netflix put your show on? Just to do it, ask it, start putting it out in the world, let the fans react, and that's going to help Netflix be able to have the power to say, all right, the fans are saying we got to do it. He's admitted he's wrong. He's apologized twice. It's enough. Like it's your choice whether you want to click on his face.
Right. Absolutely. And yeah, that's something that I really respect you for. You came out, you didn't make excuses. You owned the thing. You didn't say I'm perfect and here's why everything that I did is justified. You owned your shit and then pointed out where your accuser was incorrect. Andy, thank you so much for being here. Do you have any final thoughts, and do you want to plug your channels and everything? I just wanted to thank you. Thank you for letting me tell the story. Sorry if I talked much, but when I'm on these interviews, I was what you're here for.
I know to talk, but I thank you for letting me tell the story and for getting it out there. And yeah, if people want to subscribe or support, they can. All the links are on my videos. But yeah, I have Popcorned Planet on YouTube for movie content and some fun and some drama once in a while, because I got to keep the algorithm up. And then Hugging the Cactus on YouTube for the cancellation stories. You can also just go to Uncanceled. It's 1L for the cancel, because that was available. Uncanceled.com if you want to support. I'm trying to get funds for the next season. There's also a Patreon for Hugging the Cactus, because that one doesn't make any money. So if people believe in it and want to help make sure I can make time to do it, more power to you. Thanks for the support. Some people do, and I'm grateful. Or you just subscribe and watch the videos. Helps a lot too. Awesome. Andy, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I love your work. Keep up the great work, man. And thanks, man. Stay in touch. Come on. Let's come on Nerd War with some time. I'm
down.
Make a beef.
Hit me up. I'm all about the Star Wars, so feel free.
Thank you, man.
Cool. We'll talk to you later, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Andy Signore as much as I did. And I really did. Like I said in the interview and in the intro, I've been trying to get this guy on for quite a while because I think his story is very important. It's an important one to point out, especially coming from a leftist perspective, which he leans more towards. This whole #MeToo thing, believe all women, it only goes so far. It only works as long as it's true and accurate. Otherwise, it's just a free pass to ruin somebody's life that you don't like, or, ruin somebody's life and boost your own cred and your own status in society for whatever reason. It's a good reason to be a terrible, terrible person. And it's a good excuse to do so. So, listen to all women, sure. Hashtag listen to all women. That doesn't mean believe all women unless they've given you the evidence and are able to corroborate their story. And that's why we have a justice system. So we've still got some work to do. I'm no endorser of rape. I think that goes without saying. Rape is bad. That does not mean that we should hashtag believe all women, because some women, just like some men, are bad people. And they will ruin lives for the hell of it if given the chance. And let's not do that. Let's not give them the chance. Let's not give rapists the chance any more than we give these victimhood, I don't even know what you want to call them, terrible people like Andy's accuser, liars. Let's not give them the chance to increase their life by bringing down somebody else's either, because it's just wrong. It's just nasty business. And it's 2020 now. You would think that we would be able to, do better at this stuff. We'd be able to crack down on allegations that are false. We would be able to crack down on, rapists and sexual abusers and stuff like that. But, one step at a time. And yeah, that's that. If you have any complaints, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line at dan@tsidpod.com. I will happily accept and appreciate your hate mail. Might even read it on the air if I feel so inclined. But dan@tsidpod.com is my email, and I will read your nonsense and give a good little chortle at it. But also, if you would like to join the conversation, you can do so by going to our forum. It's currently on Facebook. You can go to Facebook, just type in "The System Is Down" forum and ask to join, and I'll let you in. If we're not on Facebook, if we've gotten kicked off, like we've been threatened with a couple times, if we are no longer there at some point in the future, you can go to tsidpod.com/forum, and wherever our forum is at that point, that is where you will find it. Okay. Also, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Do all the things that are really annoying that everybody has to put in their video. But it's for a good reason. It's because YouTube doesn't like us. Facebook doesn't like us. Twitter doesn't like us. These people don't like to put these conversations out there. They don't like the idea that people are having these uncomfortable conversations behind their backs and on their platforms, and doing so in a civil manner. They don't like them having anything that pushes against the mainstream narrative of divisiveness, in my opinion. But I'm a little bit of a conspiracy man myself, so that's my thought. That's what we're here to do, is to change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time, to prove that the art of conversation is still alive and well, and we can discuss things with each other. We can have our opinions. We can open our minds and open our mouths. We can know what we believe and why we believe it, but be willing to change our mind if presented with new evidence that goes to the contrary of what we were rooted in to begin with. Open minds and open mouths. That is what we're all about here. Yeah. Also, be sure to check out Scott McElroy's show, QAnon Chronicles, every Friday on this here channel, wherever you're listening to this. That's where Scott breaks down current events and things that are happening in the news, and he does so through the Q conspiracy lens, and it's very fascinating, whether you believe it or not. As I always say, I don't necessarily buy into all of it. I'm not a Trump guy. I'm a Vermin Supreme guy, but I do love Scott and love his take on things. I love his ability to tie the yarn on the wall together, like Charlie on what's it called? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it's really, really cool stuff. So do check out QAnon Chronicles every Friday at QAnonChronicles.com or wherever you're listening to this right now. And I think that's about it. That's about it. It's been a good week. Lots of content coming in. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you're not overloaded, because I re-released all the old Waco reviews that we did back when it premiered on Paramount Network. You can check those out on YouTube or in the podcast feed. Those were recorded 2 years ago when it initially premiered, and they were just bonus back then. We were on a different bonus platform even, and so there's no way to really find those episodes anymore. So I thought, hey, now that Netflix put it out, let's release this to the general public and get our thoughts out there. So check it all out. Check all those out. We've got lots and lots of stuff coming, lots of stuff planned. We might be going to cover what is it, a rally, a protest against the lockdown. We might be doing that as you're listening to this. It will have been this last weekend, so you probably already know by now if we did or not. But that's something we've just got some things in the works, some things planned, talking about new shows, new opportunities, and new things. So please continue to like, share, and subscribe, and support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/thesystemIsDown. And of course, if you will have me, I will be back here, right here, first thing next Monday morning with some more uncomfortable content for you. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, please continue to question everything, stay uncomfortable, and I'll talk to you then. Thanks.
This has been a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.